Optimal health for high performers. This is the Health Upgrade Podcast with Dr. Navaz Habib.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Health Upgrade Podcast. This is Dr. Habib. I'm here with JP. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, thanks.
So today's episode's a little bit unique and a little bit different because we're going to talk about a program that I have created over the last little bit with your help, with your support, and an offer that I'm making to all of the listeners of the podcast / everybody who is on YouTube and aware of what we are doing. And if you're excited, I'm excited to share something really cool. It's called the V.A.G.U.S protocol. Any questions, JP, on your side before we jump right into it?
Nope. Let's dive in, see what you've developed.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to share my screen. So if you're listening on audio, feel free to watch on YouTube. We'll put the link in the show notes. But for those who are just listening, you can also just listen along. You don't need to see slides. There's not a whole lot of science or charts listed in here. All right. So I'm very excited to share with all of you my wonderful V.A.G.U.S protocol that I've created, and really excited to kind of dig into what we're doing and how we're supporting our clients at Health Upgraded to improve their health through their vagus nerve. All right, let's jump right in. So the problem today is that we're living in a hyper-stressed world, and all of us health seekers tend to feel pretty overwhelmed navigating the medical system and navigating the world of, health information that's out there. We don't truly know what's going on. And because of that, people are feeling drained of vitality and energy. They're struggling to thrive. They're confused by the endless health information noise online. A lot of it is noise. And that can make people feel powerless because they don't understand the root causes of their personal health issues. And unfortunately, that weighs them down because that's taking away from a lot of their life enjoyment. These challenges can leave you feeling frustrated, anxious, discouraged, adding additional stress burden to your already present health issues. And so I want all of us to kind of take a moment and imagine a life where you wake up every day with boundless energy and clarity, where there are no longer defined by setbacks, and resilience becomes the cornerstone of your well-being. Where you feel deeply supported, connected, and optimistic about your body's capacity to heal and thrive. Where you understand the root causes of your personal health challenges and see a lasting positive change once you address them. And I want you to imagine creating a life and legacy that you're truly proud of. And for me, this transformation isn't just possible, it's actually within your reach with the right guidance. And that's what brings us to the V.A.G.U.S protocol. So the V.A.G.U.S protocol is an acronym that we've developed, and I want to go over it with you all. V stands for validate. A stands for activate, G stands for gut-brain immune optimization, U stands for unburden, and S stands for sustain. We're going to go through this, but before we do, I want to explain the 3 goals of the V.A.G.U.S protocol. The goals of the V.A.G.U.S protocol are, number 1, extended health span. We want the amount of time that people are dealing with age-related diseases and early illness or death to be pushed out as far as possible. And what's amazing is when we have optimal health span that's been created through strategic protocols to work on improving your wellness, we can extend your health span out as long as possible, as science has actually found so far. The second goal is resilience on demand. We want you to feel absolutely resilient and capable of bouncing back when stressors pop up. In an acute stress scenario, we want you to bounce back really quickly. And in a long-term stress scenario, we want to help you shift how you see that stressor and become more resilient and enable recovery to occur within your body more effectively. This doesn't happen when we feel more vulnerable. Vulnerability and resilience are kind of the opposites here. And we don't want our clients and everybody out there to experience that vulnerability such that it affects their health in a very negative manner. And so resilience on demand is our second goal. And the third goal is autonomic flexibility. And there's a mindset piece to this as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. Now, this is an image that if you're able to watch on video, I would highly recommend. But if you can't, we're going to talk this through. So I want you to imagine an x-axis and a y-axis. And on the x-axis, on the left side, we've got autonomic parasympathetic activation. This is vagus nerve activated, conserving and preparing mode. This is the mode of ideally healing and parasympathetic activation. And on the other side, on the right side of that x-axis, is autonomic sympathetic state. This is our exerting state, emitting state. And then on the y-axis, we've got the mindset piece. And on the bottom of the y-axis, we've got a stuck mindset where we feel like we're in danger. We have low resilience, low cognition, and low adaptability. And on the top of the y-axis, we've got a growth mindset where we feel safe, resilient, high cognition, and high adaptability. Now, in the bottom left corner, on the autonomic parasympathetic side, but in the stuck mindset side, we're in what we call level 1. And this is what I call freeze and fawn state. This is where people feel hopeless, incapable, and stuck in survival mode. On the right side, in the sympathetic state, but still in the stuck mindset on the y-axis, we are feeling in the fight and flight state. This is the inflamed, anxious, threat response mode. And this is where most people spend a lot of their time based on the amount of stress that they're currently experiencing. If we go to level 3 is on the parasympathetic side, but on the growth mindset side, what we see here is level 3 is rest and recover state. And in this state, people are feeling safe, they feel like they're healing, and they feel peaceful. And this is a goal of all of us, that we should be able to enter this state on demand, this rest and recover state on demand, so that we can heal from the stressors that are inevitably going to hit us. And on the top right of this chart, we've got on the sympathetic side, but still in the growth mindset side of things. So on the top right of the chart, we've got level 4, and that is flow and grow state. And this is where we are creating, thriving, and performing. This is where the best of the best tend to spend their time when they're performing, whether on the field, in athletics, or in their preferred or their choice of exuding their special gift to the world. Now, we don't say stuck in any one of these areas forever, but there are 3 patterns that we tend to follow. The first pattern here is the sick pattern, where we're stuck on the stuck mindset side between level 1 and level 2. And this pattern is one that a lot of people who are dealing with chronic inflammatory conditions, dealing with a lot of mindset issues, and kind of stuck in that victim mindset tend to be spending most of their time in that pattern. The second pattern is a common pattern where we're going between level 2, fight or flight, and level 3, rest and recover. The problem is it doesn't happen very easily, and most people are kind of falling backwards towards a fight or flight state more often than not. And that is not ideal because they're not spending time in the recovery mode as often as we would like. In an ideal world, we would like to be stuck between level 3 and level 4 so that we can flow easily in an optimal experience where we're stuck more on the growth mindset side, where we feel safe, resilient, high cognition, and high adaptability, but we're able to easily pass between the parasympathetic and the sympathetic side of these things. JP, any questions as we kind of enter talking a little bit more about the V.A.G.U.S protocol?
No, I mean, this is all great material, and it's the heart of what we've been talking about in our nearly 100 episodes, that desire to get into that state where you're resilient and you can be in a sympathetic state if you're creating something new, if you're working hard at your job, if you're on the basketball court and competing, and getting back into a safe, healing state easily, that resilience that we're looking for. So yeah, the ideal place that we want to exist is floating between level 3 and level 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk now about the 5 steps of the V.A.G.U.S protocol and dig in a little bit into each one. And so we're going to start with the V, which is validate. We want to be able to validate what's going on in your body and understand not only where we're going, but where we start, where we currently are. So for me, validate is the GPS. This is where we get to know, just like when you open your Google Maps or you open your GPS app on your phone, you have to enter your destination but your phone has to also identify your current location. And then it helps to guide you and figure out which route is the best one for you to take to get to your destination as quickly as possible without as much traffic, without any headaches, avoiding construction, avoiding detours, things like that. And so that's where the validate piece comes in. It's like the GPS of knowing where we want to go and giving us the game plan of how to get there. Okay. So there's a few pieces to this validate puzzle. The first is annual lab testing. We've created an amazing PDF guide on how to get your blood work done and what specific blood work markers to ask for from your primary physician to help you identify exactly what's going on, and we can help guide that process. Secondarily, we also offer functional lab testing for our clients that are on our Plus and Premium memberships. And part of this functional lab testing helps us dig even deeper than that basic blood work, because we're able to look at markers on your microbiome, for example, or your hormone tracking, or even your mitochondrial function through organic metabolomics testing. We want to know exactly what's going on in your body at the cellular level so that we can help create a shift towards that goal of feeling optimal and feeling regulated all the time from a biochemical standpoint. Next, we recommend semi-annual testing with something as simple as an omega-3 index test. So your omega-3 index dictates how much omega-3 is present in your cellular walls, basically. How much of the cell walls or cell membranes, are made up of omega-3 versus omega-6. In an ideal world, your omega-3 index should be over 8%. That's actually been shown to have a 35% reduction in cardiovascular events. And we recommend doing it with a very important company called Omega Quant, where we get the best testing done on that particular area, because they're testing red blood cell membranes specifically to identify where you are. And then we have targets that we can approach. Why omega-3 matters? Omega-3 index dictates your inflammation levels and your cellular flexibility and cellular adaptability. So this can be something that can be done as simple as every 6 months, and it's a relatively low-cost test to get that one done. On a weekly basis, we highly recommend doing something as simple as a BOLT score. The BOLT score stands for the Body Oxygen Level Test, and this is a really simple test where you breathe normally through your nose 2 or 3 times, and then at the end of your breath, when you breathe out, you want to hold your breath until you feel that first need to take a breath. Not urgency. We don't want to get to a point of urgency. We want to experience that first need to take a breath. And we want to count the number of seconds between when we end our exhale and when we feel that first urge. And here's a quick little breakdown. If we're under 20 seconds, it's something that needs to be addressed ASAP. If you feel an urge to breathe in less than 20 seconds, it tells us that you are dealing with a low level of cardiovascular endurance and a low CO2 tolerance. Your body can't handle the amount of carbon dioxide that's present in your body. If you're between 20 and 30 seconds, you're doing better. You're getting there. Things are okay, but they're not necessarily great at that time. There's room for improvement. In an ideal world, your BOLT score gets over 30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds, even more than that is possible. And if you're at that level, you will truly see positive signs of recovery, energy levels, and optimal performance. And this is a test that anybody can do on a weekly basis to track their progress. And guess what? It's completely free. I think that is such a powerful tool. The last one here is daily testing. And daily testing is something that we can do subjectively by taking inventory of our bodies through breathwork meditation, just taking a moment. And we can utilize tools like wearable health devices to help track and provide a data-based input as to what's happening with our sleep, essentially telling us how much time we're spending in REM versus light versus deep sleep, what our breath rate is like, our heart rate, our readiness and recovery scoring, HRV markers specifically, which we'll talk about, stress levels, activity tracking, heart rate tracking through the activities, and other data points, even something as simple as hormone cycle tracking for our female clients. So this is a great way to identify, using data, what's truly happening within your body. I've been using a wearable device now for over 7 years, and it has absolutely changed the way I see everything in my life and shifted the amount of data that I can pull. And one of those huge data points is heart rate variability. It's something we've talked about, JP, you and I, on the podcast numerous times. HRV, for those who are not fully familiar, is a direct measurement of the vagus nerve versus the sympathetic inputs to the heart, which dictate the changes in number of milliseconds between beats of the heart. So it's actually measuring your autonomic nervous system as well as possible. And this truly is the gold standard in knowing what's happening in your body during certain moments. Which autonomic state are you entering? I know that's a lot of information on the validate side, but we really truly want to know where people are starting and where they're going. And so I'd love, JP, to get a little feedback from you on how this validate piece is such an important role in helping our clients to work towards optimization by knowing where they stand.
Sure. I think your analogy to GPS is a really good one. I mean, if you want to get from, here to somewhere else, you got to know where you're starting from. Because as somebody once said, if you plant a pin on your map somewhere, there's an infinite number of ways to get there if you don't know where you're starting from. And you don't know what effect you're having when you make changes. Even if you measure after you've implemented some new treatment, you don't know where you started from. So you don't know whether it had the desired effect, whether it would have had a deleterious effect. I think there's tremendous value in knowing where you're coming from. If you know what I mean, if you know where I'm coming from.
I do know where you're coming from, and I very much appreciate that joke. I want to get into the next one now, which is A, and that A stands for activate. So when it comes to the vagus nerve, and most people that are listening or have seen this know that I wrote a book called Activate Your Vagus Nerve. And for me, activate is a really important word because this is going to help drive that initial step, helping to get your body moving towards that goal. So how do we do that? We activate the vagus nerve, and we do it by beginning with the breath. The breath is key, controlling the inhalation, exhalation patterns, knowing that you're breathing through your nose and not your mouth, focusing on diaphragmatic breathing, using your diaphragm. I just want to show a really quick video here that shows that as we breathe using our diaphragm, which we can measure simply by putting our hand on our belly when we take our breaths and experiencing with an inhale that our belly is slightly expanding, what that's doing is it's allowing us to see that there's a vacuuming effect that's pulling the air into the lungs, but also then a massaging effect that's occurring in the abdominal viscera below and all the abdominal organs. And the massaging effect that's created when the diaphragm is going up and down is actually activating and engaging these visceral organs that are parasympathetic organs when they're functioning well. So when we do this, when we breathe with our diaphragm, we're enabling the vagus nerve to turn on. Your breath is the foundational piece that engages and activates your vagus nerve. Everything that we talk about to activate your vagus nerve engages initially with controlling your breath. And that's where we get into these foundational vagus nerve practices. How are you sleeping? Let's take a look at your sleep practices. Are you sleeping in dark? Are you sleeping in cold? Are you going to sleep at a reasonable time? Or are you staring at your phone for hours and hours before you're able to fall asleep? Right? We want to make sure that sleep, which is to me an absolutely sacred moment for when the vagus nerve is activated, needs to be optimized. Are you using the tools like gargling, humming, chanting, singing, tools that are readily available and completely free for all of us to do? And are you doing any breathwork, meditation practices where you can actually engage and support the vagus nerve to turn on more effectively? Because the breath is where everything begins. And if you're not practicing your breath, 90% of people are probably breathing incorrectly at any given time. Then we add on, where necessary, advanced vagus nerve activating therapies. This is using tools like vagus nerve activation, audio and sound therapies, and even cold plunge. And yes, for those who are seeing this video, that is me in a cold plunge. I've done this many times. I love it. Between 3 and 5 minutes in a cold plunge is absolutely one of the most engaging things that I've ever done. And so that is a set of tools, and I never preach anything that I haven't personally tried and believe in. And so I'm really very, very supportive of tools and devices and therapies that are foundational, and then the advanced therapies as necessary to help support our vagus nerve activation. JP, any thoughts on these activating tools and exercises?
Well, given that you're up in Toronto, I understand the cold plunge being something you like. I'm down here in Florida, so if you want to replace that thermal stressor that you're doing, I would go more with the sauna. Staying warm. So that's another way that you can give yourself a little bit of stress that's actually helps your body become more resilient.
You're absolutely on point with that. And as you know, I talked about temperature therapies in Upgrade Your Vagus Nerve in my second book. And that's a big piece of the puzzle. It's not just about cold, it's also about adding in heat. And so adding these therapies in, the ones that I'm showing on this slide are just the beginning. There are many, many tools that are available out there. And I'm a big fan of testing and ensuring that I'm providing recommendations to my clients on an individualized basis that are actually beneficial and that have been proven through scientific methods. All right. The next one is G, and G stands for gut brain immune optimization. Now, this is a bigger one because we're talking about things that begin in the gut, and we can go as far as looking at the gut brain axis or the brain immune axis or the gut immune axis. The vagus nerve makes up all of these axes. It is the connecting point between the microbiome, the gut, the brain, the immune system, and essentially every visceral organ in our body. And so when we work to optimize our gut health, our brain health, and our immune health together, we actually are able to enable that thriving opportunity that our body provides. We do this by initially starting with dietary protocols, targeted, strategic, dietary, and supplemental protocols. I'm a big fan of food first. Get your good food in. Make sure that you're feeding your body with micro and macronutrients, ideally, and then targeted or strategic supplementation. I remember, and I'm a big fan of saying that supplements are supplemental. Supplements are never going to be the initial driving force of optimal health. Taking a ton of supplements will not necessarily provide you more benefit than you taking that time to eat clean food. But where necessary, targeted supplementation can have a very, very beneficial effect in supporting that gut-brain immune axis. Not only is it on the dietary side, we also need to engage in regular exercise, in sunlight exposure, in breath work, and active recovery processes, and spending time outdoors and activating vitamin D. These are huge pieces to the puzzle when it comes to gut brain immune optimization. So, JP, I'd love to get your take on these gut brain immune strategies and kind of how important these are to engaging and supporting the vagus nerve.
Well, they're critically important. You're capturing three of the most important aspects of life itself that support all of the biochemistry and physiological things that happen in the body. I would, me, I would add in mitochondria, but I think you have because when you're properly managing your gut microbiome, you're ensuring that you're getting the vitamins and fatty acids that the gut microbiome is manufacturing for your mitochondria. Your brain is one of the most energetic organs, if not the most energetic organ in the body. So making certain you have healthy mitochondria is critical. I mean, we're now recognizing that neurodegenerative conditions like Alzheimer's are actually really not associated with anything more than inflammation and uh, insulin dysregulation. And then, of course, the immune system and your energy homeostasis are just so intimately linked. They're almost really two sides of the same coin. So I would just throw in, everything from exercise and proper diet and even that red light that's coming in and that portion of the spectrum that's helping, make your mitochondria function more effectively. I would throw mitochondria in there.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Mitochondria doesn't have the same letter as the gut brain immune. So I had to, for the acronym purposes, stick to gut brain immune, but I very much agree. This is mitochondrial optimization that we're truly trying to.
How about metabolomics? Metabolomics. Yeah, there
I
you go.
love it.
That's probably the reason why you didn't do it because it's difficult to say.
Wonderful. We're going to head over to the U now, and we're going to go into an unburdened state. And what does unburden really mean? Well, it comes down to stress. We have 4 types of stress that we need to deal with on a daily basis. We've got the daily stressors. These are the relationship challenges, parenting challenges, financial stressors, work or business stressors, even poor habits, more so than people realize. Then we have the biochemical stressors. These are the microbiome dysbiosis, the pesticides and herbicides, toxic air quality, low nutrient density foods, dehydration, even things like EMF and vaccines and things like that that can cause biochemical stressors that ideally are meant to be positive, but can actually cause bigger issues. It's too much of a bad thing or too little of the good things getting into our bodies that we need to be aware of. Physical stressors, things like lack of movement, poor muscle quality, traumatic injuries, poor breathing mechanics, which is a huge one that people often overlook, and overuse or repetitive strain, too much or too little of these physical movement pieces. And where traumatic injuries come in, physical stress is incredibly overlooked, and poor breathing mechanics are one of the biggest things that obviously are going to hinder your ability to breathe really effectively. The last one is psychological stress. And this is people that unfortunately were the victim of a crime, childhood trauma, dealing with anxiety or depression, unexpected loss of loved ones, and negative self talk. These are all major psychological stressors. And what they tend to do is they tend to scuff the lens through which we see the world. I'm a big fan of addressing all of these. We want to identify which stressors are affecting you on an individual basis and work to shift not only eliminating as many of these stressors as we possibly can, but helping to shift your mindset about stress, because not all stress is bad. JP, you and I are both big fans of talking about hormesis or hormetic stress. The fact that a little bit of stress or moderate levels of stress stimuli are actually found to be beneficial when it comes to our optimal cellular responses. So a little bit of stress is a good thing. The problem occurs when the stress levels become too high, and that leads to adverse events. And the easiest analogy to explain this is the stress bucket. This is a topic that I've brought up in my books and something that I teach to every single one of my clients. We have a bucket. Each one of us has a bucket that fills up with all of the things that are happening around us, all the stressors. And these buckets are something as simple as worries at work, to poor diet, to financial pressures, to lack of sleep, family relationship issues, health concerns. All of those 4 areas are pouring into this bucket. And that bucket at the bottom, well, ideally, we are able to create these holes. And these are stress management tools. These are tools to help to eliminate and help empty out that bucket. These are taking time for things that you enjoy, practicing mindfulness, talking to friends and family, and even good time management are all stress management tools that are really effective. And these are going to help support that autonomic resilience piece, because we want to experience a little bit of stress, but we need to teach ourselves how to experience those stressors and to bounce back. That is a big piece to what this Unburden section means. So it's all about teaching you how to bounce back from these stressors so that you do not feel burdened by these stressors in a negative way. JP, any thoughts or takes on this?
Yeah, I think the moment you unburden yourself of these stresses to a level that you can unleash yourself into a positive state, the better you're going to be. Now, I do believe, and as you said, that some stress in your life is important, because just the same way you can spend far too much time in a sympathetic state, you can spend a far too much time in a parasympathetic state. And when you do that, you end up lethargic. You end up not. You end up becoming brittle. You end up becoming fragile. So I think we want to make certain that there's a healthy balance, and you don't want too much of it. You got in this image, you've got a lot of water going into that bucket, and not a lot of healthy ways of getting water out of that bucket. So I just think people need to know their limits, and then make certain that they get back into a healthy state as frequently as they
You're
can.
absolutely right. We want to be able to slow the emptying of the bucket. At the same time, we want to be able to engage the emptying of that bucket. So really, really important for us to learn what the stressors are, identify them, and identify that these stressors, when we look at them in a negative way and when they are excessively high, are the root causes of the chronic health conditions that we're experiencing. So identifying and clearing out these stressors is going to be key. The last area is sustain. And this is an important piece to the puzzle because a lot of tools out there, a lot of these thoughts out there are not necessarily long-term strategies for optimizing health. And I'm a huge fan of reading books, personal development style books. And these are just a few of some of my favorites. Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg is one of my absolute favorites. Gretchen Rubin's Better Than Before was really wonderful. And Psycho-Cybernetics is an absolute masterclass by Maxwell Maltz. So these are great tools. And what we've done is we've taken so many of the strategies that we've learned through our own learning at Health Upgraded and created these sustainable pieces to making the changes that we engage with our clients to create, making them long term so that these are things that you can come back to time and time again without needing to re-engage and re-worry about new ways of healing, that these are timeless strategies. I just really want to point out one really important piece, a really great quote from Maxwell Maltz, which is, "A human being always acts and feels and performs in accordance with what he imagines to be true about himself and his environment." And what that means is you can change your mind and it will change how you live. Once you change how you feel about something and the environment that you're in, you can truly change and how you feel, and you're able to engage with the world in a much different way. So just to end that off, this is the V.A.G.U.S protocol. JP, any thoughts on the overall protocol and what we've created here?
No, I think this is exactly what we've been talking about in the episodes that we've done over the last several years. I think the message to everybody who's listened is there's an ideal state, in some abstract way that you can get to, but don't try to do it all in one step. You want to take little steps and make them habits and make them part of what you are continuously improving yourself. And don't try to do it in one step because it's going to be a little difficult. Somebody once said, how do you eat a big sandwich? One bite at a time. So take one bite and start. A great place to start is right at the beginning with the validate, which is get some testing done. Get some testing done, understand where you are now, and then make a plan. Make a plan and activate yourself. Get yourself into the next stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the right place to start for a lot of people. And truly what we're trying to accomplish is creating and unleashing a world in a slightly different way. And ultimately, the goal of Health Upgraded, our overall mission is to unleash the creative and productive potential of society through improved health, vitality, and happiness. Our core values at Health Upgraded are empowerment, empathy, human connection, and resilience. And that's why today I'm so excited to announce that we have officially launched the Health Upgraded online community featuring my V.A.G.U.S protocol online course and guided programs. These are game changers when it comes to the biochemical, the physical, the emotional, the psychological, and changes that we can create in an online community space that is easy for people to take on and easy to do at your own pace, where you can learn and be supported by myself and the Health Upgraded team. The community is going to contain so many different tools that are available to you. Inside the community, we have the V.A.G.U.S protocol online program. We have weekly group calls with myself and the Health Upgraded team. We have monthly live calls with world-renowned guest experts. We're really excited. We're starting with Dr. Amy Apigian, who is a very recent guest on the podcast. Dr. Kiran Krishnan is coming on as well, and he was a guest on the podcast very recently talking about microbiome. We've got world-renowned experts lined up for the next many months, and we plan to make this an amazing opportunity for you to learn live from these amazing world-renowned experts. We're going to have a Q&A chat that's available directly with me and members of the Health Upgraded team. Breathwork and mindfulness moment practices, specialized protocols for sleep, fasting, vagus nerve nutrition, and many more that are coming soon. Access to the Health Upgraded book club, monthly challenges to focus on health and personal growth, downloadable PDF guides for personalized guidance, and access to one-on-one calls and programs with myself and the team, and much more to come very soon. We're really excited about this, and I want to give a special invitation to everybody who's listening or watching today. My special invitation to you is to join our free 10-day Vagus Nerve Jumpstart mini course. You can do that. If you're watching here, you can simply click the QR code, or you can go to vnjumpstart.com. That's VN as in Vagus Nerve, vnjumpstart.com. And that will take you directly to the sign up page for our free 10-day Vagus Nerve Jumpstart mini course. I'm so excited and honored to share this with all of you, with our community, with the podcast, with the YouTube community. And we're excited to get this out to as many people as we possibly can to help create a world in which healing is truly possible and we're able to enter healing state on demand. JP, final thoughts?
I just can't wait to see how this is going to impact so many people in a positive way. You know, I've had, for years now, had the joy of having people come up to me talking about how introducing vagus nerve stimulation into their lives has made such a dramatic change for them, and it's such a heartwarming experience. And I look forward to this next chapter as being equally or more so.
I love it. This has been amazing for me. This has been my passion project for the last many months, putting everything together, getting the community set up, getting access to these wonderful experts, and being able to bring together this wonderful tool to all of you at a very reasonable cost. And I think that is going to be really powerful because it's going to be accessible and attainable for so many people to engage with us and have a roadmap to optimizing their health. So thank you so much, JP, for joining me today, for sharing my amazing news with everybody, and for supporting Health Upgraded in so many ways that you have. And to all of you out there, I really appreciate you listening. Please share this episode with one person, 2 people, 3 people, family members, loved ones, friends, people that are dealing with health issues that need to hear this information and need to have a roadmap to optimizing their health. Please have them join the 10-day Vagus Nerve Jumpstart program. It's completely free. There's tons of great resources in there and lots of great positives that can come out of it. So please share this with those people that you think could utilize this information to upgrade their health, and hope to see you all in the community. Thank you so much, JP. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you all on the next one.